What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 52 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Yesterday, I talked to you about a comic book based on the 1960s sci-fi series The Avengers, featuring John Steed and Emma Peel, and today I want to talk to you about another book featuring those characters. This is written by Grant Morrison and Anne Caulfield, with art by Ian Gibson. This is a 4-issue story by Grant Morrison and a 2-issue story by Anne Caulfield, with art by Ian Gibson throughout. And this came out in like 1990, I think. And originally, the publisher was Eclipse Comics, and then Boom Studios got the rights to do the Avengers, the sci-fi series, not the Marvel Comics superheroes, in the mid to late 2000s, and then they started doing collections of their recent Peel and Steed stories, and then they went ahead and collected this older story after they got the license. And this is an alright story. It's not going to blow your mind. If you are familiar with Grant Morrison, and I'm going to go ahead and guess that if anyone is buying this, they're buying it because Grant Morrison's name is on the cover. I'm just going to assume there's not that many Peel and Steed hardcore fans out there who are buying this who don't know who Grant Morrison is. But if you are familiar with Grant Morrison and you buy this expecting the level of insanity that Morrison brought to like the Doom Patrol or Animal Man, you're going to come away a little bit disappointed. Now, that's not to say that this is a bad story. I really enjoyed it. It's just not the same level of, wow, that's really insane and crazy that Grant Morrison usually brings to his stories. In fact, I think I actually like the second story by Anne Caulfield better than the Grant Morrison story. The Grant Morrison story, it's alright, but the Anne Caulfield story, I really liked it because it puts Peel more in the spotlight than Steed. He's kind of put to the side a little bit, and we get to find out why Peel's husband disappeared and where he was for 3 years. And if you don't know anything about the Avengers, which that's more or less the camp that I'm in when I'm reading these books, then you'll get told just enough information that you won't be lost while you're reading this. It tells you where Peel's husband was. You find out a little bit about Steed's current partner before he calls Peel back in action, because apparently in the 60s series, Steed worked with multiple people, not just Emma Peel. And at one point, Peel left the series, and then he started working with a new woman in a series called The New Avengers in the 70s, and that was Tara King, and she's in this book at the beginning, and then she goes missing, and that's what calls for Steed to call Peel back into the field. And so it's a good way to reunite these characters because the few people on the planet who are familiar with this franchise, they are familiar with Emma Peel and John Steed. They're not necessarily familiar with John Steed and whoever else that he was working with. So this does a good job of reuniting these characters without it feeling too forced, and I really like the way that they do that. This is a fun story. If you're familiar with these characters, I have a feeling you're going to like it. Personally, I enjoyed this a little bit more than the one I talked about yesterday. Nothing against the one I talked about yesterday. I just enjoyed this one a little bit more. But like I said, it's not going to blow your mind. If you're expecting classic Grant Morrison, you probably are going to want to skip this, or at least lower your expectations a little bit. But I did really enjoy this book, and it did put me in the mood to read and experience more stuff from this particular world. I won't be talking about any of that anytime soon. I'll be talking about something totally different tomorrow, but I did enjoy this book, and it did kind of put me in the mood to dip my toes in this world again in the future, which I think that's a pretty high recommendation for this book. So those are my thoughts on Steed and Mrs. Peel. I hope that you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with an entirely different kind of video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your day. Catch you later.